What's up, data people? My name is Matthew Heffron, and welcome to Lesson 12, Calculated Fields. If you want to follow along, I put a link to the data source in the notes below. But with that said, let's open up the Tableau public app. We'll go to Microsoft Excel, we'll click Sample Superstore, and hit Open. Once that loads, let's grab Orders, and we'll drop that in the data pane, and we'll go to Sheet 1. So if we wanted to create a calculated field, how would one do that? Well, there are a few options. We can come up here to Analysis, Create Calculated Field. We can go to this drop-down caret. We can say, Create Calculated Field. We can come down here. We can right-click, Create Calculated Field. If we wanted to create a calculated field off one of these dimensions or measures, we can give that a click and say Create Calculated Field. So however you want to do that, pick your poison. I'm going to come up to Analysis, Create Calculated Field. And now the calculation editor opens. And this is a really helpful tool. You can see over here, we're looking at all, but if we hit the drop down, we have number, string, date, type conversions, logical, etc., etc. So let's look at some of these. First one we'll click is number. And so these are all the functions that we can use for numbers. And the first one we see here is ABS. So it returns the absolute value of a given number. So if we called the ABS function passed in -7, we get 7. And I think Tableau does a good job at giving us little examples so you know how to write these calculations. Let's look at something else. Let's look at a string. And we'll go to lower. You can see if we had the lower function, we could call it, if we pass in product, all uppercase, we'll get it back, all lowercase. Okay, let's look at logical. So here we have like case statements that we can write. We have if statements. So let's look at this if statement. And again, we have this nice example. So we'll start writing it. So I'm just going to hit a capital I, and you can see all these functions pop up. So I can do autocomplete with tab. I'll say if I wanted to say the same thing, if profit, I can start typing profit, arrow down to profit. I can hit tab. There we go. Or another way, we can close that. You can just drag profit right into the calculation editor just like that. We'll say if profit is greater than 0, we'll say then good, else work harder. End. Oh, let's go. Let's get rid of this end. Okay. So now say we forgot to add the end, we'll see this calculation contains an error. So we can click this down caret, and this gives us a nice little message telling what we screwed up. It says, hey, add the end. Okay, we can get that added. Then we have a nice little message. Always give a meaningful name to your calculations. We can call this, let's call it profitable, question mark. We'll hit OK. Now let's grab profitable, and you can see we can use that in our workbook. So we have good or work harder. We can drop that on rows. Perfect. Okay. One thing I wanted to point out is when you create a calculation, a calculated field, you can tell that it's a calculated field because we get this equals ABC in front of it. So you can tell that this is a calculated field. With that said, I hope you enjoyed today's quick lesson on calculated fields. As always, don't forget to like and subscribe. Feel free to connect with me, join our Slack community, and I'll see you in the next lesson.